Pras, there was also an interesting call comparing Uber and DoorDash today. And this was out from Piper-Sandler. And they made a case saying that Uber is much better positioned than DoorDash in this economic environment and that they would actually outperform during a recession based on the fact that people are not going to buy a new car, replace the car that they have, given the fact that new car prices are not too far from the all-time highs yet. And then they will therefore spend that money on Uber and Lyft, not so much on DoorDash. I'm scratching my head here. Dave, you are too.
I'm so skeptical of this.
I'm trying to connect A to B. I get the overall theme of it, that people can't simply afford a new car. I don't know if you should be then paying day in and day out for Uber and Lyft. Doesn't really seem like a cost-saving strategy.
I really don't see the correlation to higher car prices, spending more money on ride sharing, and then not saying that the food deliveries are going to be successful. Yeah. So there is a whole lot of mix. I mean, what was it? 36% of Uber's revenue comes from food deliveries. So this is a whole mixed up development for me. Shed some light on this.
I mean, I'm with you in the fact that Americans like their cars, right? They're not going to replace going places with just strictly Uber and Lyft, right? I find it funny. This is a classic Paris trade. I haven't seen a Paris trade call in a while, right? Buy Uber, sell Dash. They really said we're not like really hating on Dash. We just think that compared to Uber, it's a better pick. And it said Uber does have a high exposure to deliveries, but they have a claim to a much more higher kind of volume, able to spread those costs over with, I guess, their platform. I think the biggest thing is that people, I don't think, are going to replace all their driving with Uber and Lyft. They might do some of it in the cities, but I think there's still going to be a demand there for cars, and that Uber's not the substitute.
Well, and also with this line of thinking, you would also think if people then don't replace their cars, they are using Uber and Lyft more, they don't have access to the vehicle, they're probably not going to the grocery store as much, so then you would think that maybe they are still ordering in more than they would be, and then it would almost be a win for both in that sort of scenario, right?
Yeah,
I just don't get the
because you're going to be using DoorDash anyway, right? Yeah.
You need people to bring you food. You don't have your own car to go out to the grocery store.
Right. The thesis is we're not going to be buying cars, then we're going to be using Dash and Uber all the time, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to disagree with you. I just really can't find the correlation. I think people are going to hang onto their cars longer in a recessionary environment and probably avoid ride-sharing apps because the prices, quite frankly, have gone up quite considerably over recent years. Get on Uber or Lyft right now. I find it unaffordable in the last 6-9 months. And if anything, I'm going to cut back on that in this type of inflationary environment. That's just one person's perspective, but
I don't know.
We're struggling.
But it's also, Piper-Sandler is not alone in this. It seems like we are almost on the island by ourselves because Jeffrey also initiated coverage with a buy on Uber, a sell on DoorDash. They didn't make the comparison between the two, so digging into this report, certainly a different investment thesis here as to why they like Uber and why they don't like DoorDash. DoorDash are saying slowing outlook, which we've been talking about. Also, the fact of where DoorDash is trading today compared to some of its competitors out there, more expensive. Uber, they see improving sentiment on profitability. So a different call there from that analyst from Jefferies, but the same ratings on both Uber and DoorDash.
I think one thing that will help Uber and Lyft is New York City courts ruling against the drivers, say they will not get the pay raise that they were fighting for in court, and that certainly boosted the stocks of both.
I will say Uber, I think it's a better play than, let's say, a Lyft because of the global sort of reach. Yeah. And the deliveries also is a big, Uber Eats is a huge business. Actually, it's a very well-run business. Dara Khosrowshahi really kind of making that platform kind of what it is now compared to when Travis Kalanick was there too. So I think Uber is sort of like the beginning stages maybe of their sort of run in mobility.
All right, Pras Subramanian, thanks so much for hopping on set here with us.